The University of Manchester Students' Union has banned clapping.
Okay.
Right, you just accept that. You ban clapping.
So my gut reaction is, that's extreme, that's weird. But, you know, the thing is, I'm a confident person. I'm used to clapping. I like people to clap. You know, if I'm doing a hold on, let me finish. You've got to let me finish. Okay. But for some people who are really quite nervous about public speaking or being the centre of attention, I can understand why it would put them off.
Can I just say, clapping's better than the alternative. If nobody's clapping, you really are in trouble.
Yeah,
why would it put them off?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
right.
But they introduced jazz hands, didn't they? So instead of clapping, what they introduced?
They have introduced jazz hands, a wave of both hands. Now, look, I want to kill two birds with one stone. Talking about that will be Professor Sir Cary Cooper, friend of this show. And he teaches at Manchester Business School, or he lectures there. Professor, good evening to you.
Good evening to you. You know, I was quite surprised myself. So I went around in the hall at the university, at Manchester Business School. I said, hey, has anybody heard about this? What's going on? So what I decided to do was collect the facts. So I called up the director of the student union, the University of Manchester Student Union. I said, did you ban clapping? He said, no, it's being misunderstood. What we're doing is the following. What happens is when, you know what student unions are like, you know, very robust, you know, big arguments when they're doing policy, when they have people come, they're usually people who are high profile, you know, people who are quite interesting and robust themselves. So there's a lot of kind of aggression going on in these kind of meetings, right? And what they were trying to do, basically, it wasn't about clapping so much. Clapping was one angle. And why they wanted to do something about it is they wanted to calm everybody down. They didn't want aggressive behavior in meetings or when high-profile people who are a bit controversial come to the university, come to the student union. Okay. They didn't want them yelled at. And there are students who are very sensitive, who have anxiety predisposition to anxiety disorder.
Hold that thought, Professor, hold that thought, because that links to the next topic that we're going to talk about. Because our colleague, talk radio breakfast presenter Julia Hartley-Brewer, has been banned from next year's Labour Party conference. Why has she been banned? Because she posted a video on Twitter of her in what is called a safe space room. And what it is, it's about 5 seconds long, and there's this safe space room. I'm not sure why that exists, for the same anxiety-type reasons. But anyway, Julia said the word what to camera? Julia, what was the word you used?
Boo.
Boo. Right. So...
I can't even do it without giggling. I'm trying not to laugh on air now.
You shouldn't be giggling. You shouldn't be giggling.
I'm a terrible person.
There's a lot of people who think that you... that you are. But... You see, the thing is, have you accepted your punishment, or are you taking this lying down?
I don't take anything lying down, Eamon. You've met me. I genuinely think this is an absolute outrage. I completely understand what Cary's saying about people who feel anxious and things. I'm just not entirely sure the entire world should be changed around those people. The safe space rooms aren't for people who are, as the Labour Party has been claiming, for who are autistic or disabled and need a space when they're traumatised by being in crowds. I imagine those people don't generally go to party conferences. The reality is they are for people who are triggered by hearing people saying things they don't like. That's why they started in student union organisation in groups. That's where they've come about at left-wing party conferences. This idea that that it's possible to be overwhelmed emotionally by hearing an idea or a thought or an opinion that you disagree with. This is absurd.
All right. While you were there at conference, did you ever see this room being used?
No, I only popped into it twice. I saw it on the way. Actually, I was looking for the loo at 6 o'clock in the morning before we did the show. That's how I found it. I thought that was the direction to the loo. And then I went in and did the safe space video. I'm reliably informed that no one ever saw anyone use it. It was quite an unpleasant little room. I have to say, if this was the Labour Party caring for people who they thought had mental health problems, it was the most unwelcoming, miserable room. It looked more like somewhere you'd be interviewed on rather serious charges in a police station.
But Julia, Julia, can you understand, though, that first first of all, it's actually quite considerate for a room to be set aside, number one. And number two, can you also understand that actually...
tokenism?
Hold on, let me just finish.
No, we have to establish why it's there for.
Because you know what, actually...
Is it just to look good, or is it of any use?
Well, the thing is, it's a room, and it's quite considerate for somebody to have thought about it. That's the first thing.
Right, so do we now have them on trains? Do we not have them at football grounds? Do we not have them in concert halls? Is it now going to be written in law that every office block in the world has to have one of these as well?
My husband would love to have one at home, but I think we call it the shed.
So what's the future?
Well, no, it's not about the future. I'm just saying, try and put yourself in an organisation's point of view. They're trying to be considerate. They're trying to accommodate people, and they've put a room aside. They don't have to. But also, can you not understand that actually sometimes when you hear something, I mean, you're a very strong, articulate, intelligent woman. There are some people who may hear something, and actually it is quite hard to take on board something that they might not want to hear. I mean, I've had to sit down and listen to...
problem.
But
this is ridiculous.
No, it's not their problem.
The whole world doesn't need to be all. If
no, but you need to be considerate, Julia. Julia, you need to be considerate. Well,
no,
yeah.
we don't.
Not everybody can cope, Julia. Not everybody can cope.
Okay, let's bring some calm.
They shouldn't be at party conferences, or maybe they shouldn't be at student unions.
That's nonsense.
Let's bring the professor back in. Let's bring the professor back in. Cary Cooper, can you add any calm to any of this?
Yes, I think we need safe space for these two immediately. Julia, here's an issue. Okay, I don't know what the safe space room is about, but you're saying it's there for people who have problems coping, may have an anxiety issue, and so on.
The sign on the door said it was for anyone. If it had said, for instance, it was for
anyone to do what? I mean,
people.
Reflective room, to get away from things, to get away from the pressure, get away from the constant argy-bargy. It could be anything, couldn't it?
It could be anything, yes.
It could be anything. There is a kind of issue. Look, in the UK, right? Not just the UK. In almost every country in the world, 1 in 4 people will suffer from a common mental disorder of anxiety, depression, and stress. We know that. That is fact. In our lifetime, one of you has or will suffer from an anxiety disorder, right? Okay. Now, in certain contexts, party political thing may be one context where it's pretty robust. Look what's going on in the political parties now. It's horrendous. The way people are treating each other within both the Labour Party and the Conservative Party, it's horrendous. It is not pleasant. And basically, if the Labour Party is saying, we think it's a nice place to get away from things if you're feeling a bit low, feeling a bit under pressure, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I mean, why not?
Open to anyone, then it's also open to me. I'm sorry, I dispute this idea that 1 in 4 people. This is a new theory that's come about. The idea that 1 in 4 people suffers from a mental health issue. No. This is because when you redefined people having mental health issues to include completely normal, appropriate responses and feelings that people have as human beings to difficult things that happen in their lives, then yes, we're all gonna have a mental health problem.
Absolutely,
but
we are.
I'm sorry, I don't think that's the experience of most people in this country.
Julia, have you seen the suicide figures for young men in this country? That is a mental health issue in this country.
Right.
Julia, honestly,
I don't think you can blame Julia Hartley-Brewer for the suicide rate in this country.
We're not talking about that. We're talking about mental health, Eamonn.
We're talking.
Julia, honestly, we do have a mental health issue, and I don't mean just I'm feeling low. I'm talking clinical in your lifetime. You're right. I'm saying in your lifetime, a quarter of 1 in 4 people walking down the street right now will have an issue that's clinical.
And one of the great reliefs, Professor, is to have a laugh. And Julia Hartley-Brewer, if you look at it, you can actually smile at what she does. And do you have a sense of humour about that or not? Is it something, Professor, you can laugh at or make someone laugh about?
What do you mean? I don't quite understand.
She goes, boo. She goes, I'm in a safe space, and you open the door and she scares you. She goes, boo. Is that funny or is that totally inappropriate?
Oh, well, I can't comment on that. I really don't. I don't think it wouldn't have caused me any aggravation, anything. If she's saying, though, Julia, if you're saying, and I've talked to you a number of times, if you're saying that in certain contexts, like take universities, we have students who have problems. There's a university where there's been a number of suicides, right, among students. We have an issue. So, sometimes we need to provide the facilities, the support for students, the counseling, maybe some safe spaces for them to go in certain kind of buildings or certain contexts. I mean, that's perfectly okay.
We need to
I don't know what happened to you, Julia. I didn't follow that exactly.
Nothing happened to me. Of course, we need to be sympathetic and be helpful. I don't know anybody who, you sent me this figure 1 in 4, but, yes, everyone will know somebody, whether it's a family member or a friend,
absolutely,
who has from those issues. But
that's a clinical breakdown of one sort or another.
Okay, well, maybe not to that extent. But the key thing is, does that mean that we should provide help for those people on the NHS and make it available and help people and be sympathetic and empathetic? Absolutely. Does that mean everyone else has to adjust their behaviour all of the time around those people and meet their needs constantly in the public sphere? No, it does not.
Guys, thank you both for
having a safe space for people in the context of a pretty heated, high-pressure kind of environment, particularly in the political parties as they are now. Because it is horrendous. In my all life, I've lived in the UK for 50 years. I've never seen such hostility within parties, forget between parties, in my life.
Well, okay, gone are the days people would just retire to their car or back to their bedroom or whatever it happens to be. And this argument, I'm just going to put this out here. So, Westminster Bridge attacks last year. That bridge was open the next day. No one stopped there and said, oh, let's not, walk down here for a year. People have been murdered and stabbed all around London. No one closes the street off forever and says, out of respect, we shouldn't walk down this street again.
That's not the
that
same
is
argument.
The same again.
It's not,
the same argument
it's
is...
totally not the
all
same
right,
argument.
In your world,
it's not my
what is
world.
going to happen is that it's going to be law to have one of these detention rooms somewhere that people can look through the door.
Eamonn, what we're talking about is just a space for people to go and to be, get away from it. And that is the world we live in. It's a very pressurised world. You're on social media, you're being attacked on social media, on Twitter, everything you say and do. We are not living in the 1970s. We're living in a civil society that's moving forward.
With no personal responsibility.
And thoughts are being calm is important.
Julia's the one who is the victim in all of this.
I don't think she sees herself as a victim.
Well, I think she's the victim in all of this. I just want to know, Julia, what you think of what is being discussed here now.
Again, I just think it's ridiculous. I just don't know how we got through 2 world wars. I'm absolutely perplexed by this. This everyone's a victim, everyone's vulnerable, or we all need therapy. We really don't. Everyone needs to pick themselves up. People who have serious mental health problems need to have help, and we're only going to provide help for those people if we actually identify those people, and rather than pretending that everybody has got a mental health problem. And I really do think a little bit more, frankly, keep calm and carry on would do us all good.